Good morning. Friday the 3rd of June, coming up to 12 o'clock. I'm under the Cave Hill. I'm looking down at Belfast Loch and I'm panning round. This is the cenotaph. And this is a remembrance tribute to Hugh Colvin, who was a VC winner. And cemeteries are fascinating places. They're full of history. They're full of stories. They're full of architecture and art and symbolism. And there are nature reserves on top of that. And I have been walking, I have walked round most of this cemetery for this grave here. It says at the top, in loving memory of dear wife Jane Colvin. Also her husband Hugh Colvin, he died 21st of April 1941, aged 84, and their son, and this is the interesting one, for me anyway, Major H, that's Hugh Colvin, VC, Cheshire Regiment, died 16th of September 1962, aged 75 years. And their daughter, Mary Helen Colvin, SRN, died 1971, aged 81. God will link their broken chain as one by one we meet again. And I'm delighted to have found this grave. And just if anybody's coming into the cemetery and wants to find this, there's the, that's up to the entrance, and that's the entrance building up there, the white one up there, and this is the main drive here, so to speak, and this is the headstone. And I want to tell you the story of Hugh Colvin. He's an Englishman, and he lived in 1887 through to 1962. And he was awarded the VC, the highest and most prestigious award for gallantry in the British and Commonwealth forces. He was born in Burnley in Lancashire, and he was, at 30 years old, he was second lieutenant of the 9th Battalion of the Cheshire Regiment in, I think that's World War I. So it is September 1917, east of Ypres, Belgium, and all the officers had been hit. They were either dead or they were casualties, and they couldn't fight on. And Hugh Colvin took command of 2 companies. And remember, he was only a lieutenant, second lieutenant, and he led his troop forward under heavy fire to great success. He led 2 men to a dugout and left the man on top alone, and he brought out 14 prisoners. He cleared all the neighbouring dugouts by himself or with 1 or 2 men, and captured machine guns, killed the enemy, and took many prisoners. After he retired from the Cheshires, he became major in 1938 at Dewsbury, and I think it was 1947 he came to Northern Ireland. He moved to Carnmoney, Newton Abbey, and died here. And this stone was unveiled, the VC stone up at the entrance there was unveiled in 2018. And this guy even served in India after the war. I mean, he just kept on going. So this is the grave that I came back to Carnmoney graveyard to find. Out of all these graves, I was able to locate it, and I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. Big thrush, and as I said, that's a missile thrush. This place is a nature reserve, as well as a place of reflection and sadness. And I have to include this other grave just beside, because this brings back memories for me. This is the Swindell's grave, and I don't know whether these people here have any connection to my good friend Shannon Swindell, who was murdered in Rhodesia. She was a Salvation Army worker, and she and her chum were shot down in cold blood. They were working in a children's home in Rhodesia, and Rhodesia, the ANC and all those boys were trying to take over Rhodesia and make it into Zimbabwe, and they were merciless. And these two girls were trying to help out in the country. And Sharon and her chum were shot dead in 1978, and I went through college, Swindell College, with Sharon Swindell, and she was a great loss, great girl, best friend. So I had to remember that. And our daughter is called Shan Faith, as a remembrance of Shan Faith Swindell. She lived in Bangor, and she was in Bangor Salvation Army Corps. Gone, but not forgotten. And certainly not by me. I think of her very often, and I'm 68 now. So, one grave leads to remembrance, personal remembrance of another, and Sharon never got home. She's buried out in a graveyard beside Lake Victoria.